Statement after that then, Ken O'Flynn TD, in where he says, the Taoiseach repeatedly accused me of dog whistling. God help the poor Taoiseach. I'm sure he thought he was being fierce, tough in his reply. But to be honest, his preening moral posturing reminded me not of a mauling from a lion, but rather a swipe from a gummy kitten. He went on to say, I've rarely seen a politician who so delights in jumping on his high horse at every available opportunity. Well, here is one Cork horse who will kick back, because I'm not going to sit there and take lectures from the hapless so-called leader for simply doing my job and seeking accountability for their use of public funds. Ken O'Flynn joins me by phone. Morning to you, Councillor. How are things?
I'm very good, Neil. How are you?
What does dog whistling mean?
Well, dog whistling means that you're trying to provoke a fight without, or make an insinuation without saying it. That you're trying to incite some sort of fear or hate and get a public opinion or a mood together. That's really what it means. I suppose that's probably my definition of it anyway.
Do you think it was? Do you think I mean, first time watching that, and it was you sitting TD for Cork, but it could have been any TD. Did you think his response was quite dismissive and rude?
I think that's his characteristics. I've watched him now quite a few times in the Parliament with various TDs, not just me. I watched him. I think it was very telling during the election how he behaved in Kinturk with that lady. That was genuine.
So let me just bring that up. Genuine. That point with the woman in Kinturk, right? Because he said to you, "You're new to the House. Maybe you don't understand. You speak, then you stop, then I speak." He turned away and walked away from that woman in Kinturk who was trying to talk to him, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the veil slips every now and again there with the Taoiseach and the style of person he is. And look, that's fine. He has his style. I have my style. Not everyone will agree with my style of politics or my style of speaking. That's just the way I am, and that's just the way he is. And without making it personal, and I don't believe. I think we should always play the ball, not the man, in politics or, in life in general. For me, I have a job to do to hold this government to account, in particular that I'm in the opposition. This came to light in social media. A number of people contacted me, not just in my own constituency, but around the country. A number of councillors from Independent Ireland contacted me saying, have you seen this? As you know, our own background, our family background is in the motor trade, so I picked up my phone and I started ringing people that I would know and have a very good trusted relationship that I would know for 30-something years in the motor trade. And I'm talking, we're in the truck business or the truck part business.
Okay, are you telling me you independently researched this topic?
Yeah.
And what did you find?
I rang people in Limerick that I would have a very good relationship with in a Renault garage. I rang people in Waterford who were involved in the Mercedes business and BMW business, and I rang another company in Wexford. These are clients of ours now that we would have for...
Yeah, okay, go for it. What did you get back?
85. I got back confirmation that this man who had released the video on TikTok a number of hours before that was telling the truth. And I got back a number of stories. I saw a number of invoices that came my way that people sent me screenshots of, and it was for the Department of Social Welfare.
Okay, can you describe? I mean, don't want any names of the garages of the people. Can you describe? Hang on a second. Can you just describe what those invoices were for?
They were for tyre repair, wheel repair, windscreen repair, services, car services. I'm not familiar with the one that gentleman's business have. I know he's mentioned that it was an engine repair. 7,000
engine repair. And apparently he says that he can stand over this.
Yes, yeah, he can, and I've checked that with an individual in the media as well who's been in contact with him. And he has those.
I know we have also been in touch with him. He doesn't wish to go on air. I think that's fine. But you have independently corroborated this from other car repairs and dealers.
Yes, and I also spoke to a gentleman who rang me last night after this story in the Dáil, who rang me and said, look, I have a small garage, an independent garage. I've been approached by a number of people saying, look, I can get this money from the state. If you give me an invoice for double the amount of the work that has to be carried out, I'll split the money with you.
Now that's a very serious allegation to make, though.
That's a conversation I had last night. No, look, this man rang me out of the blue. I have no need or no I have no conversation or taped copy of that conversation that he had with somebody.
But here's
that's what he's telling me, and I have no reason to believe that he's telling me a lie either.
But here's the thing, right? These additional needs payments from the Department of Social Protection can be for anybody on a social payment. So maybe those invoices you're describing included Irish people in need who also could apply for additional discretionary funds.
Well, I'm in politics now a long time, in local politics, right? And I worked with my father, as you know, when he was a TD. And we would be very familiar with going through additional needs payments and putting the application together and assisting people with the application. And I can tell you one thing, Niall, is that it's very difficult to get. It's very difficult to draw down. It's means tested. They want to know what you have in the credit union, what you have in the bank, what you have in the post office. They want copies of it going back for 6 months. They want to know, do you have assets? Do you have assets like an expensive Audi? Do you have an asset like an expensive BMW? Do you have an asset like an expensive Mercedes?
Yeah.
They want to know what the value of your car is. Then they might come and no.
Are you saying that doesn't happen?
I would be dealing with.
Are you saying that they're selective in the means testing, is it?
Well, how can you produce a set of bank statements from the Ukraine? How can you produce a bank account, and how can you produce what your assets are, and how can you produce like the one of the questions are, do you own land in Ireland? No, I don't. Do you own land abroad? You don't have to. That's not a question in the application form. So, you might have a very expensive asset. You might be running a supermarket in the Ukraine, but your family are over here, and they're there's a lot of people that are still in the Ukraine that have businesses operating.
Well, I mean, it would be very, very, very serious if
lots of people with serious wealth that are over here as well, and their husbands wives and daughters have gone over, and the fathers have stayed at home.
I have spoken in the last.
A lot of Ukrainian men as well. No, by the way, in here as well. Fighting age.
Yeah. Well, but that's possibly a story for another day as to the reasons there. If we just stick to the story that was raised yesterday and your response from
just going back to what I was saying there about most people that would contact us would be about funeral expenses or the fridges after breaking down.
I did talk yesterday with somebody in the furniture and bedding trade, and has in the past been approached with checks or looking for an invoice and a price for furniture or for bedding or for mattresses. I also have had an opportunity to talk with people in the funeral business who also have said the same thing. But both of them said this isn't necessarily exclusively people who are asylum seekers or refugees. They have had Irish people, they've had minority groups come in who also get the additional needs payments.
And that would be like the additional needs payment as well would be to cover. We'll say that you're fortunate enough to be selected on the housing list, and you need to do a house to buy white goods and things like that. There'd be a payment for that. That'd be very, very normal. But you'd have a situation where you would have a widow or a widower that just couldn't afford the funeral expenses and would come into us and say, look, can you help me out with this form? And you'd make contact with the Department of Social Welfare, all that sort of stuff. And you would have to nearly give them your shoe size.
True enough. But is a 7,000 engine replacement then the straw that breaks the camel's back? When we hear at the same time that in the papers this morning that half of people living in this country, Irish and others who are working here, don't have any savings and are going from paycheck to paycheck.
Well, I'll be straight with you, Neil. I know most of my constituency, and I represent a working class constituency. Most of my constituency are about 3 paychecks away from the breadline. Okay, if you lost your job in 3 weeks, you'd be in serious trouble. Most of my constituents are like that, and an awful lot of my friends are like that.
But certainly there could be but hold on a second. There could be a discretionary additional payment for somebody like that if they were on a social welfare payment. And I'm not being disrespectful to them, but if somebody's working for a living and going Monday to Friday, trying to get through, pay all of the bills, and then waiting for the next wage bill, and they have a boiler blows out, it's $3,000. I was making the point, fail an NCT, they need 4 new tyres. They have nothing, and nobody will help them whatsoever.
Well, I'll be very straight with you, Neil. If somebody came in to the Department of Social Welfare or into one of the desks around the country and said, I need 4 new tyres for my car, I don't think they'd be going out with a cheque that easy out of the Department of Social Welfare. And that's my experience, having 18 years experience as a city councillor and now 4 months as a TD. My experience has been that, you're put through the rigour. You might apply for €5,000 or €2,000 to help you with the funeral expense or with the expensive wash machine or bedding or something like that, or something that is extremely necessary. But you'll be told very, very quickly,
just on that point, just for the record, there used to be a contribution from the state to funeral expenses, but they got rid of it for some reason.
They got rid of that.
Yeah.
They got rid of that.
Got rid of that. So what exactly are you saying? That we need fairness for everybody? We are. I mean, you referenced the 1 million a month on the Ukrainian dogs and cats and what have you. Are you saying that we can't take this anymore? We can't afford it? This is unfair? It's unjustifiable?
Neil, the reality, there's nobody in this country racist, or nobody anti-refugee or anti-Ukrainian or anti-IPAS. But we are sick to death of seeing a disparity from Irish people who are working all their lives, paying into the state, don't quite qualify for a medical card because of a private pension or whatever, and seeing people entering the state who have never contributed to the state in any way whatsoever, being housed, being given 3 meals a day, being put into hotels, being given A, B, C and D, and then coming along and having their cars repaired. And there's a guy, and I'm representing somebody in Balflan at the moment, who's €2 over his pension, in his private pension, did everything right, worked all his life, gave to the state, very much so gave to his community, and his medical card is taken off him. Now you tell me
that's
how
appalling.
That man feels today.
That is appalling.
You tell me how that man feels today. And Neil, there's 14,000 or 15,000 homeless people today, right? Homeless. That's up 10% from last year. 4,000 of those are children. So, I just don't get it. And I'm very fortunate in life that I'm in the position I'm in. Okay. But I'm asking the questions. I'm saying, is this fair? And I did bring up, and I did say in the Dáil yesterday, there's about 800,000 people after leaving this country since 2008, right? Since this mismanagement and the crash and the whole lot of the state. And they're in Australia. I have a cousin in Australia who's married and settled out there. There's nobody repaying
800,000. 800,000.
800,000 Irish. So there's nobody over working in London like I did, or working in Spain, or working in France, or the French government isn't repairing Irish cars. The French government or the Spanish government isn't repairing Irish citizens that have moved and are working there. The Portuguese government.
Do you expect Simon Harris to come back with, and is it even possible for him to get the information you're looking for?
Well, you see, what's very interesting, and you had a gentleman on, Nick Delahanty, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. I am keeping up. I am coming up.
Thank you. You have
keeping up to date with the.
Thank you.
I listened to the radio show at night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. But look, you're a great show, in fairness. But look, you talk to Nick, and I've met Nick a couple of times because he's a fascinating guy with a law degree and a very clever young man. And, you just see that there's crossover from department to department. And the other question about this is, how are we paying for repairs for a car that has no tax or insurance or NCT on it? There's serious questions there on that. Because, if I brought my car to Spain tomorrow, right, and I wanted to stay in Spain for 3 months, after the 3 months, I have to re-register my car in Spain.
There isn't any tax, and there isn't any there. Yeah, he said though,
I'm not insured in my car if I go to France.
He said they come here and they make a bloody great contribution to the Irish economy. They make great contribution with their kids in schools. They're working hard and they're welcome here.
No, but I don't know who he's meeting. Maybe he's meeting people in the Ukrainian embassies in his role as the Minister for Foreign Affairs. But it's 1 in 5 Ukrainians are working that have come to this country.
Okay, so is it a case then that he's detached from the real world and what's really going on here, or he's buffeted from all of that?
For many, and look, and I'm there only 4 months, I see the bubble that people are in inside there. I see that they're totally detached from reality. They're not sitting down in Blackpool Shopping Centre on a Friday like I do, or up in Dunstores in Balflan like I do on a Friday and chat to people and meet people. They're not listening to they're so detached from reality. It's bizarre. Okay, it's bizarre to me. Like it's a bit like when you walk into doors in Leinster House. Right. It's a bit like walking into Wonderland.
Let's see what he has to say when he comes back with your response.
Well, I have a number of FOIs gone in now to various departments, and we will get to the bottom of this, and I'll keep you updated.
Much obliged. Thank you as always, Deputy Ken O'Flynn. Text 0868 104 106.